What's going on, guys? Junior's Fishing Company. Another video. I've been on a bit of a jig kick lately, so I've just been messing around with a couple patterns, and I really do like horizontal jigging in the winter, so and there's a billion different patterns that you can do. This is kind of what the final product will look like. I made a couple tweaks. I've tied a few of these in different colors and stuff like that, and I've been changing each one as I go to kind of get one that I really like. And this is kind of starting to get where I am comfortable with it. But this hook is just a kind of classic tactical barbless jig hook from Orvis, size 12 here. I've been tying some 16s and 14s too. I just like smaller jigs, so to avoid bulk on this, I didn't put down any lead or lead-free wire. I just wrapped until my bead was pretty tight on there. It's still a little wobbly, but I really didn't want a ton of wire or anything like that getting in the way, because there's some materials like this ribbing that I'm going to use that add a lot of bulk, and if it gets too fat, it looks kind of goofy. So I'm going to bring my 70 Denier UTC all the way down right to where my bend is, right to where the bend starts. And my tail on this one, I've been going back and forth. I'm going to do black pheasant tail. I've been using hen, some partridge, flank, just messing around with different colors and schemes and stuff like that. But with this one, I'm going to do the black pheasant tail. I'm going to get about a shank would be a little too long in my opinion, so I'm going to go a little bit shorter than a shank. I'm just going to do a pinch wrap to kind of get that where I want it to, right on top, and I can kind of look at it. I just don't want it too long. Some of the tails I've made have just been too long. And to keep the body even, I'm going to cut this pheasant about, I'm going to have dubbing on this, so I'm going to cut it about to where my dubbing will be, right by my bead head, but I'm going to wrap up this pheasant tail. I know I said I want to keep it thin, but this will keep it even. I want to keep it as even as I can as well. So I've got some UTC vinyl rib. This is Nymph size. They've got midge size, and they've got medium. The medium has just been too thick. Even the midge is, or the Nymph is pretty thick. But what I do, if you do super tight wraps, you'll keep it. It'll flex a little bit. But I'll take a little piece, I'll take some pliers, and on the pliers you'll have that part right here that doesn't have any teeth on it. And so I'll mash that down, and then I trimmed just a little bit with some really fine scissors at a point. So I'm not going to add a ton of bulk on the hook shank. I'll still add some, but this at least helps with adding too much on your hook shank. And when I get like, I don't know, it's probably 6 wraps, I can really start to pull back, and that helps thin it out a little bit as well. Again, if you've got, I mean, there's a bunch of different ribbings. I don't want to go too far back because I don't want that to impact my tail too much, but it looks like I'll be good. And then I'm going to come, not all the way up, I'm going to come just a little bit, because again, I don't want to make too many wraps. Even with this 70 Denier, if I had 30 Denier, I'd maybe be using that, but then you risk breaking your thread on stuff. I'm going to take some, this is olive. I call it olive. It's green. Holographic Flashabou. I actually don't know what color this is. It came on this musky skirt, and it's an old one, so I just pull them off this skirt. So I really can't tell you what color it is, but I call it olive, just because most greens are olive. I'm going to wrap that right on the side, and I'm going to bring that right back to where my ribbing is, and then I can come all the way back up, and I'm just going to do a couple back and forth wraps to make sure that I have an even body. You can do a little bit of a taper on your way up, but you can also do that with your ribbing, and that's probably what I'll end up doing. So I'm just going to do a couple wraps. I want to make sure that my body is even. Maybe I'll do just a couple down to there, and that's it. Then I'm going to go all the way up to my bead. So I'm going to wrap this tinsel, touching wraps, all the way up. I'm going to do 3, and then I can just tighten. I'm going to keep it really tight in my hand, and then I'll just use my rotary function. It's just, if you let go of that tinsel, it's going to get all messed up. You don't want that. Nice and tight. Hitting my thread. Come on. I'll come all the way up here, and I'll wrap off. And honestly, I got to this point on this last one, and I thought you could almost just fish it like this. Put a little dubbing on the front, because it's nice and flashy. I mean, there's a ton of perdigones and stuff like that that look similar. I'm going to take this vinyl rib, and I'm going to try and kind of work it so when I do that first fold, because this is it's a flat rib, it's not a circle, it's flat, so you want to lay it flat onto your hook. And now I'm literally pulling so hard, you can see I'm bending my hook, but I want it really tight, especially at the bottom. And when I get about halfway up, I can start to relax it a little bit. If I start to relax it a little bit, it'll just get a hair bigger, and that's where I usually slow down. And then I'll get to my end, and I'll wrap that off. But I'm going to do, that's 2, I'll probably do 6, just to make sure that this is going to stay, because there's a lot of pressure. I don't know how many that is, I lost count. Then I'll come back here, I'll give it a nice pull, and I'll cut that off. So now, you could put some UV on there. I'm not gonna. In my experience, the UV it chips and stuff like that, and when it gets really cold and freezes, it just gets super, not foggy, but it loses its shine, and so you end up, I end up throwing it back in the box. For this collar, I've got Hare's Ear Olive, and I'm combining it with Spectra Blend Black. This is really, it has a lot of guard hairs in it, so I like how, I want it to be a little buggy, because I don't have any legs or anything on here, but I wanted a little black in there to kind of match the tail and the head. And I'm just going to start with a pretty minimal amount of dubbing, because I really don't want this giant collar. But what I'm going to do, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it's really loose right here, and as I go up, it kind of tightens up. So by the time I get to right at the end of my bead, it'll be a tighter dub. And I want it right up by the bead. And then I can whip finish with a little dubbing on the end. Just like 3 turns. A quick tie for sure. And then there's always a couple that are like crazy. I don't think I mentioned this is a 5/32 painted black tungsten bead. I think it's just a plummeting by Hairline or something. I would prefer a like a fire hole. I've got these fire hole beads. These are 9/64, but they're not slotted. Yeah, there you go. I don't know what you'd call a jig like this, but I saw some pictures and I thought, why not? But there's a ton of different ways you could do it. You could change up the black. I found that with the amber, this amber, if you do copper under it, it copper tinsel under the rib, it looks really, really good too. But Junior's Fishing Company, juniorsfishing.com. Quick little video. We'll see you on the next one.